just wonder how much of a gamble do they take in trying to put this thing right on the razor's edge at the expense of potentially a really good race car next weekend?
Is Kevin Lee.
Well, you know AJ Foyt is all for going for it. I just asked that same question to Larry Foyt, and it's no, we are not content with going sixth. Now, we know our driver is going to be smart, so if it's not there, he'll take care of the car, but they're going to get after it here and give it a run for the pole.
Track is open. We're ready for business. The day ends at 5:50. That's in half an hour's time, and the first car in the Firestone Fast 6 rolls. The homes for our troops, Chevrolet of Santino Ferrucci. What's this moment like, Inch? When you've got a shot to go for the pole at Indy, which you have done.
It's so thrilling, guys. You know, the track gets presented to you. The track is all yours. You're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, about to take part in one of the scariest things that you've ever experienced, you've ever gone through. You've already had to do it once today to even get into this position. It's all nerves, it's all excitement, it's all adrenaline as you go for the fastest laps of your life.
As he winds up, let's hear quickly from the man who now knows he will not race next weekend, Nolan Siegel.
Ever maximize the car, and it just wasn't good enough. Took a swing at it because we had no choice. We were going to be out of the show anyway, and I said it before, I'll say it again. Like, I'm not going to go home because I lifted on my last run. I'm going to go home because I did everything I possibly could, and ultimately that wasn't enough, and we went too far, and going flat was either going to lead me to the grid or to the wall, and it led me to the wall. So here we are.
Thanks, Nolan.
It's a brave, smart, talented young man who we will see back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here's 25-year-old American Santino Ferrucci, and his shot for maybe the front row and maybe the pole for the Indy 500. His first flying lap is going to tell us what. Where is it in the 230-mile-an-hour range? How high? How good? 233.2.
Pretty solid again from Ferrucci, but with the track temp higher than it was before.
It's good there as the track temp starts getting hot. So does the action on the racetrack. Ferrucci having to wheel this thing. I think I just saw 241 on the speed trap there heading into turn 3.
And sometimes we have seen a better second lap over the last few days. Is that the case here for Santino Ferrucci? Second lap, 232.819, so a little bit of a drop.
Let's watch turn 1 now at the exit. He's almost into the wall, just like Nolan Siegel did, but he hangs on and he didn't lift. The speed will be dragged down by the slide. These cars are not meant to drag their tires sideways. You want to roll them in line and keep the speed and the friction up.
Also, the friction against the wall is not going to speed you up either, but kept his foot in it like you say. We saw that from Catherine Legg yesterday. We've seen it from Power in the past to get in the show, from Sato in the past in qualifying as well.
1 to go for Santino Ferrucci. The 3-lap average is 232.8.
No slide there. Friction down, I should say. Speed up, that's what you want. And most importantly, maximizing the balance in the corners through the final 2 of the run. Right here, turns 3 and 4.
And he maximizes his time with the legend AJ Foyt. He spends a lot of time in the race shop with Supertex. He gets close to the wall again. First of the Firestone Fast 6. Santino Ferrucci sets the pace.
Checker flag. Nice job, buddy.
At 232.6 miles an hour.
Yeah, copy. That was a little sketchy.
Your foot comes off the throttle and you have no chance. And for Ferrucci, he now gets to watch one of the best in the world, but a rookie here. And he gets to say to Kyle Larson, your turn, you try to hang on.
This guy has been nothing short of phenomenal here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Kyle Larson has never qualified an IndyCar, never raced an IndyCar, And today is just part of the puzzle of doing the double, because he's doing the double next weekend, the INDY500 Coke 600. He's qualifying right now, and tonight at North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina is the All-Star race. Yes, Young Money has won the money before, the $1 million, and he's going to go for it again tonight with that crazy day of logistics you just saw.
Could get $100 grand for putting it on pole here today, then go win himself $1 million tonight. That's not bad for a day's work.
Yeah, but if he's late to the race, can he win the $1 million? What kind of decision does Larson make here? I know this means a lot to him.
Gray 2.
Dylan?
Bit of last-minute advice for Kyle Larson on the radio before he went out for this run.
Normal strategy. Plan is to be 6th gear, single gear, unless you hear otherwise from me.
And some helpful words from Brian Patty there, who has lived both the IndyCar life and NASCAR life. He's come over from Hendrick Motorsports with Kyle, and they've both found their cadence. They've both found their pace. They've both found their rhythm, and he begins his qualifying for the 108th Indianapolis 500.
Sliding a little bit in turn one there. But I did see 241 entering turn one on the speedometer again. Holding that 6th gear.
He's had so far this month where that race car starts to slide, the back starts to step out, but his corrections, so finessed, so confident.
Minimum speeds look good. First lap.
233.3 miles an hour for Kyle Larson.
And just like Santino Ferrucci, lap 2 is harder, lap 3 is even more difficult. You can see here on lap 2 that the radius is growing, the tires sliding a little earlier, certainly than they did when he made his first run today.
From far.
Brian Campy will be liking what he's seeing there. Sorry, I misspoke before I said Brian Patty. I meant Brian Campy. And this is good from Kyle Larson. Halfway mark in the Firestone Fast 6. Tells another important piece of the puzzle. 232.9. Jeff Gordon likes what he's seeing.
Still tracking to beat Ferrucci so far, provisionally moving him to the top. You heard the call from the pit wall to go P5 on the front bar, making an adjustment for the handling, trying to stay in front of this balance hot racetrack.
The legend Tony Kanaan, who's been part of this entire campaign.
He missed the apex in turn 3. He got a little high. I think he's picking up some understeer.
Kept his foot flat though, but a lower minimum speed in 4 than what we saw in lap 2.
On the weight checker for turn 2 and go back on the backstretch.
Final lap coming up for Larson, 232.6.
So what they're telling him to do is to adjust the car right here for turn 2 and move some cross weight to the left front, or the right front, I should say, and then make sure you get it back to the left front for turn 3 because there's a little tailwind.
It's a lot to process for a driver traveling 240 miles an hour. That's where those prompts come in handy from the pit wall. Kyle Larson, a true professional, managing it.
He's on target at the moment to leapfrog Santino Ferrucci. It's an all Chevrolet-powered Firestone Fast for Kyle Larson.
Flag, gray 1.
He's done enough to leapfrog Ferrucci. P1 for now. What a ride it's been for not only Aaron McLaren, but for everybody from Hendrick Motorsports.
At a minimum, he's top 5 for his first Indy 500 start.
It's wild.
That's pretty cool.
Alexander Rossi is on track now, and he told me for the second time today, I'm a little bit annoyed of the Penske drivers openly talking about sweeping the front row, so I want to put an end to that. We are trimming. We are going for it. Worst case scenario is you start 6th.
3 of the Firestone Fast 6 competitors are Indianapolis 500 winners. Here's the first.
But crucially, no matter what happens in this session, we will have a first-time Indianapolis 500 pole sitter. None of the drivers have been on the pole, despite 3 of them. Rossi, Newgarden, Power having won the 500. So we're making a little bit of history, and we're improving somebody's resume today one way or another.
I wonder how this will work out. Alexander Rossi and the 7 team trimming out. Brian Barnhart, the strategist.
Great job, Kyle Larson. Well done.
Watching the minimum speed diff, it looks pretty quick through turn 4.
All right, here we go. 233 what? It's 234! 234 for Rossi, and the crowd love it.
Oh, wiggle, loose in one, just like Ferrucci, and Alexander Rossi barely caught it. You can do a big first lap, but can you hold on for 4? That was close.
Immediately on the tools. Rossi knows what he has to do here, adjusting end to end, north end of the track to south end.
There's Dan Peter looking on. This really feels like old Alexander Rossi. He's back. He's taken a year to settle into his new team at Arrow McLaren. And now Alex is back. 233.3 miles an hour.
That's pretty big fall off, and undoubtedly it's from there. It's getting that big slide out of the right rear Firestone, dragging it, which pulls the speed down, but it certainly raises the heart rate for the driver and the family.
You can have a handling issue in turn 1. That's not what you're experiencing in turn 2. So Rossi having to make adjustments on the short chute. You're only in the short chute for about a second and a half before you start turning into the next corner.
That's those anti-roll bars are not unloaded, so you only have the jacker. You cannot get to the roll bar typically until the straightaway.
3 down, 1 to go for Alexander Rossi. So he's had 1 lap in the 234s, 1 lap in the 233s, lap 3, 232.6.
Big drop off, but this is normally what you see with a big trim. You get that big speed on the first lap, but it just does not give you the consistency over the run.
And now Rossi having to lift. He was off the throttle a bit in turn 2. He's just trying to bring it home and not stick this car into the wall. Whole lot more comfortable than Alexander Rossi after his first lap at 234.
And it has every run we've seen these cars go. Townsend, you kind of nailed it. All these Penske cars, they look so stable. They look so sorted. The driver is in control from the seat. The drivers are driving the car out to the wall. They're not being driven out to the wall.
And I think this is the only team that hasn't had a driver get out and say, oh, that was sketchy yet.
Joseph Newgarden, lap 2, it's in the 234s as well. If Newgarden stays on this pace and leapfrogs Alexander Rossi, he gives Roger Penske a shot at doing what he did back in 1988 and a clean sweep of the front row. It sets the stage.
Alexander Rossi can only drop his head and laugh at that lap 2 performance.
There's nothing you can do. I mean, it's a helpless feeling, but it's kind of an expected performance level from Joseph and all of Team Penske. Alex, not too fussed. Would he like to be on pole? Yes, but he's already thinking about next Sunday.
1 more to go. 1 more lap.
1 more to go, says Jonathan Duguid. For the Shell Chevy, 233.64.
In May, appearing in IndyCar at full song, right on the limit. It's a beautiful thing. And when it's working well, there's no better feeling.
The man who regularly runs Penske's Porsche sports car program is here back at the Brickyard. Great job, Joseph, and he sees Newgarden go to the top. 233.8 miles an hour, and Roger Penske and the gang love that.
On the pole there, lap average 233.
And what a beautiful sound that is. I never get tired in May of hearing an IndyCar at full song, right on the limit. It's a beautiful thing. And when it's working well, there's no better feeling.
The man who regularly runs Penske's Porsche sports car program is here back at the Brickyard. Great job, Joseph, and he sees Newgarden go to the top. 233.8 miles an hour, and Roger Penske and the gang love that.
On the pole there, lap average 233.
Career is put it on pole here.
And he has the best chance of his career to be the Indy 500 pole sitter. You just saw what Joseph Newgarden did. Will Power and his teammate Scott McLaughlin appear to have exactly the same thing. Smooth, consistent, high-performing race cars that are stable, and down the straightaway, there's been nothing faster this month.
They've been so close in speed. It really just comes down to all those small particulars. This driver here, he really wanted to go out and run again yesterday in the heat of the day. Roger Penske said no. His cars were going back in the stable. He didn't want them running. They went out this morning thinking those conditions were going to be more representative, and based on what we saw out of Joseph Newgarden there, it may have worked out all right. But hit your shifts. Hit your marks, stay on top of your tools. That's what's going to be the difference between these three drivers.
Because it's going to be that close, and Diff, there is a pretty chunky margin between Newgarden and Rossi, but between the three Penske drivers, it's going to be razor-thin margins. You can just feel it. Watch turn lap one here. It's a big number.
2:34.1 for Will Power. He's off to a good start. But his teammate backed it up on lap 2 with another 234-mile-an-hour lap. So the pressure is on Power.
Just shows Rossi's McLaren had to peel so much downforce off to get that 234 in the first lap. Meanwhile, these Penskes are able to keep enough grip in those cars, enough downforce on to keep the consistency rolling. Even with these big numbers, it's going to be close between them on lap 2.
This guy said this morning, I want it. Will Power wants that elusive first Indy 500 pole. Lap 2 is going to tell us more. 2:33.9.
Literally right there with Joseph Newgarden. Just slightly behind where Newgarden was at this point. But just the tiniest of margin. This team prepares, they test, they plan, they think about this race year-round.
And all Newgarden can do now is stand there in front of the photographers and media and watch. Turn 4 done again. Coming to the white flag for Will Power.
White flag.
It's 233.7. He's in with a shot.
Joseph knows it's going to be close. Nothing in it between the 2 and the 12. The cars have been prepared identically. They've been set up, I imagine, very close, Townsend, and it's just down to this small execution on the final lap.
Will Power sees low 240s going into turn 3. The balance still looks incredible.
Newgarden and wife Ashley, watch on. What has Will Power got? The Verizon Chevy to the yard of bricks. The teammates battle it out. Power to P1. 233.9.
P1, Cal, nice work. Yeah, copy.
Things to do. This was qualifying for the Indy 500. He's got the NASCAR All-Star race to do at North Wilkesboro.
You got this. Execute. You know how to do this. Use your tools when you need to.
Alrighty, here we go. One last car. It's the Yellow Submarine, one of the most beloved paint schemes in IndyCar history at the Indy 500. The Pennzoil Chevy for Scotty Mack, Scott McLaughlin.
And it's called the Yellow Submarine, which might not sound particularly fierce, but it's famous because of who drove it. The Rocket, Rick Mears, one of the best qualifiers in the history of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He has coached and guided and mentored Scott McLaughlin, learning the art of oval racing. And McLaughlin has returned with exceptional performances. He's a quick study, and he is so determined to make it happen here for Rick Mears and Pennzoil.
You heard the call over the radio. You know what to do. Execute. That's what it is all about. That's going to be the difference. It was 1/100th of a mile-an-hour average in the top 12 between himself and Joseph Newgarden. That's the smallest difference in turn-in point and shift point. Those are the things that he has to be absolutely perfect at on this 4-lap run.
36 years ago, Team Penske locked out the front row at the Indianapolis 500 for qualifying. Can the captain's men do it again?
I would love to know what the conversation was like back in the engineering office in between the top 12 and the Fast 6. How much information was going around? How much conversation were the drivers having?
Hey, and check this out. The benefit of being the quickest to get to this point is that the track temp is dropping at just the perfect time. McLaughlin, lap 1.
234! It is a massive lap. The fastest first lap we've seen. Scotty Mack is on it.
That's the fastest lap of the month, I'm pretty sure. The thirsty threes absolutely on the gas. Carly McLaughlin, Scott's wife, walking back towards where the car comes in to pit in with the phone in hand.
He has been in the groove this month. It's a battle between the teammates from down under. One Aussie, one Kiwi at the Brickyard.
Halfway home for Scott McLaughlin. He crosses the bricks, and it's still well into the 234-mile range. 234.371. It is game on.
Power's already shaking his head. He's like, I couldn't have matched that.
And Scott, Townsend, Scott's car still looks phenomenal, even with those big laps. You said it, the track's starting to cool, the grip's coming back, the thing looks sorted. He doesn't seem to be fighting the wheel. He's in harmony with this race car, and the speed is coming.
This yellow Penske Pennzoil car, this paint scheme has already been on pole here at Indy 4 times.
Okay,
1980.
one more here.
1986, 1988, 1989. Diff, he is on track to do it again.
There is no stopping this guy. Unbelievable. 234.1 for Scotty Mack. Last year was the fastest pole time set by Alex Palou at a 234.2 four-lap average. McLaughlin is on target to eclipse that.
And he knows it. He'll be doing the math in his head, guys. He knows he's on course for pole.
16 turns, 16 perfection in terms of hitting your marks.
McLaughlin's never even qualified in the top 10 here. What about now? Scott McLaughlin wins the pole for the Indy 500. It's a front row sweep for Team Penske. The thirsty threes and the yellow submarine have done it.
Yes, boys, thank you. Well done, Team Penske.
Fastest pole ever at the Indy 500 is owned by Scott McLaughlin of New Zealand.
234.220 was our average.
If
Nice job, my man. I'm so proud of you. You did it. You did it. Nice job.
If Rick Mears is the rocket, this guy's a missile. Getting it done faster than anybody else to pull.
Missile McLaughlin pulled it off. What an incredible run. What a month these guys have had so far. And it's just getting started.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, boy.
This is the stuff that dreams are made of. He doesn't come from an open wheel world. He came from Australian supercars. And Roger Penske, when he was in partnership with Dick Johnson Racing down there, saw something in this young man and said, I want to bring you to America. And Scott said, well, that's perfect. My wife's American. We thought about moving to North America. And in his wildest dreams, one of them has come true. Scott McLaughlin is an Indy 500 pole winner.
For Team Penske, a front row, 36 years in the making, but for Scott McLaughlin, a career-defining moment. You told me earlier when you were the fastest, you said, I think we have more. But did you know that you maybe had the fastest pole run ever at Indianapolis? That's what that was, Scott.
Was it? Oh.
Yes, it was.
Hell yeah, you guys got to see it too. Welcome to the party. The Pennzoil Chevy was unreal. So much pride and be able to do it.
Here comes the boss.
Next week. Just a lot of pride. Hello to my mum and dad back home in New Zealand, and there's one person I know that is watching this has helped me all week. You know who you are, brother, but thank you so much for
That'd be Rick Mears, maybe?
him, but there's a couple others in my corner that I'm very thankful for. So I'm working hard, trying to put up the best. Indy hasn't been kind to me, and that's a lot of it was my doing. I need to work on things, and this is the first step, and really proud to do it for all these guys and girls on the team. The Thirsty Threes, baby, we're coming. So appreciate all the support.
Is there a way to describe the amount of effort that's gone in, the year-long effort to get to this moment, Scott?
It's a lot of hard work, a lot of visualizing the mental game, trying to figure out what best execution for me looks like, and yeah, but now we've got this. We'll celebrate. We're 24 hours. That's our rule in Thirsty Threes. 24 hours to celebrate or dwell on past blemmers or whatever. And then we go and fight next week on Memorial Day weekend.
And in case you forgot about that 24-hour rule, Roger Penske, that's the only thing he said to you next week. So is that the focus immediately on the 500?
Absolutely, yeah. So let's get this yellow submarine back in victory lane.
There you go. He wants to do it for Rick Mears and for Team Penske as well. Hey, Scott, this is a pretty important one. The P1 trophy for Scott McLaughlin here for the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500. Dylan?
Will Power qualifies the middle of